episode 6 of Brandon's Commute. Episode 5, I just recorded. I literally pressed stop, and then I pressed record. I'm on my way home today. I'm not commuting to work right now. I'm on my way back. But I want to kind of just talk about something that happened at work a few days ago. We had graduation. We hosted Sam Houston's graduation. Ooh, there was some lightning. And there's always something going on, right? I mean, there's always something crazy happening. Ooh, heard the thunder right there. That was beautiful. It's crazy. Behind me, it's super dark, but in front of me, it's just nice and bright. I'll show you. It's very dark back there. Then you look in front of us, and it's just nice and bright. That's what the sky looks like above us. I can't really see it, but y'all can. But anyways, we're about to leave, and I'll just call these guys Worker 1 and Worker 2. So they were downstairs with me. I'm more downstairs. My boss is upstairs. And Worker 2 is just gone for a long time. I don't know where he was, but Worker 1, he sends me a picture of our ADA restroom. He's like, Brandon, you want me to clean this up? And I look, and somebody pooped on the floor of the ADA restroom. Now, I'm sure there's many reasons for why they didn't clean it up. A lot of the patrons in that restroom are in wheelchairs, or they have ADA something. It's a disability restroom. So I mean, there's reasons for it. But anyways, yeah. So I'm sitting there. I'm telling him clean it up. I get a text I get a call from Worker 2, and he's like, "Hey, are you at the Coliseum still?" I'm like, "Well, yeah. Ceremony's not over." Or I guess the second ceremony was over. We're going to the third one. We had 4 that day. I'm not gonna leave in between 2 and 3, right? So, or so I thought. But I tell him, yeah, and I'm like, "What's going on? Like, you need something?" And he tells me, he's like, "Yeah, I'm at the parking garage," which was already kind of weird because we don't really deal with the parking garage whatsoever. We're inside the building, and he was like, "Yeah, there's a old lady, she busted her head." I'm like, "What? Like, is she okay? You know, what's going on?" I thought he meant it happened at the building. And then he's like, "Yeah, what do we do?" And I'm like, "Well, did it happen in the Coliseum?" He's like, "No." And I'm like, "Well, there's nothing we can really do besides call 911, get her an ambulance, etc. Right? I mean, there's nothing for us to do." And he's like, "Well, I'm waiting for her to give us our wheelchair back." And so I'm like, "Oh, snap." Because we have 3 wheelchairs that we can use to transport, but you cannot keep them for the day, right? I mean, we have many disabled patrons that need the wheelchairs and they need the use of them. So they're used for transport, then we'll take it back and we'll use them to assist other patrons. But so I cleared up. I'm like, was she in our wheelchair when she, how did she hit her head? Basically what happened, because he had me scared, I thought he might have dropped her from the wheelchair or something, and that it was going to be our fault, and we had to deal with it. Sun's coming back out. I need to get my sunglasses on. But no, so what happened was he was actually assisting an elderly patron to her car with her family, and he took her up in the wheelchair to the top of the parking garage, let her in her car, and while he was there, the other patron was also at the top of the garage, very old, elderly, leaning forward like this while she was walking, and she fell and hit her head straight on the concrete. And so she's bleeding everywhere. He gets her back up in the wheelchair, brings her down, and that's when he contacts me. So we get her an ambulance. It was kind of crazy because there was actually one right there for the EMS or EMTs who were in the Coliseum, but they can't leave in case anything else happens. So we'd call a new ambulance to come and pick her up. And so we get her inside. Her grandkids are, freaking out. They're worried about their grandma, and it sucks. It looked like she was so much blood was coming out of the side of her head. It looked like a nosebleed. That was wild. But the EMTs were basically like, "Nah, don't worry, it's fine. She'll be okay." And they were calm. And so I guess there's something they knew that we didn't. They were very calm. They weren't in that much of a hurry. You know, they were prompt. They got the job done, but they weren't like rush in, pick her up, get out of there like I think we all thought they were going to be. But anyways, I grabbed the wheelchair. I'm bringing it back to the Coliseum, and I look down. There is blood all over it. I'm just like, oh brother, you know, which I'll admit, pretty selfish of me. You know, this lady just busted her head, and that's what I'm worried about. But we already got her handled, right? We did what we could. So I'm like, oh brother, this isn't good at all. And I go downstairs. Luckily, we're in an athletics facility, right? So we have trainers and medical staff. What is it called? Sports medicine staff downstairs. So I grabbed this chemical called Blood Buster, and I grabbed some hydrogen peroxide. And so I took it to the wheelchair, cleaned it all up, nice and neat. Chemicals kind of smelled terrible. I'll be honest, they smelled terrible. But we're all good. And we grab the hazard waste bin, throw it in there. It's like this red bin specifically meant for hazardous waste, which blood, vomit, urine, you name it. Basically any biological substances can be considered hazardous. And we're walking, and one of the student workers is like, hey, Brandon, you got blood on your pants. I look down. It was this very pair of pants. It's a pair of khakis. I look down. I did get the stains out. Don't get me wrong, it was on this side. I got the stains out with the Blood Buster. Thank you, Blood Buster. I'm not sponsored or anything, but anyways, though, I was freaking out. I was like, oh, heck no, because that's like, I'm not gonna lie, I never thought of myself as like a queasy person or like a weak person, but as soon as I saw her blood on that chair, I was kind of like, this is nasty. And so I told my boss, I was like, hey, I gotta get out of here. I gotta go home and clean these things. So I put the Blood Buster on there, and I soaked it in hydrogen peroxide, but I didn't realize the hydrogen peroxide actually stops the Blood Buster chemicals from breaking down the enzymes of blood. So I actually canceled it out with the two chemicals, and I just ended up making something that smelled really bad. But after that, I threw the Blood Buster on there, and I threw it in the washer, and I didn't turn it on. I didn't run the washer. I just let it soak in there. Then the next morning, I ran it 3 times. I got it all out. But yeah, I mean, that's just a taste of what life is like at a basketball stadium. It wasn't a basketball event. It was graduation, but that's just, you know, that's like 20 basketball games wrapped up in one at that point. I mean, we had so many ceremonies. We're basically packed to the brim, all 9,000 seats. And so, yeah. But usually these episodes of Brandon's Commute are usually about some specific topic and how it affects, what I think about it and how it affects the world, right? But not today. Not today. Today was more of a little bit of a story time. Yeah, though, I mean, that's my story. Hopefully the lady's okay. I'm not sure, but my khakis did survive, which I'm happy about. But anyways, it's been fun. I just got to my apartment complex in Park. So, adios.